This is my audience. Have you ever asked yourself or ever realized, why do these patterns in my love life keep reoccurring? Have you ever sat and asked, why do I sit and put up with certain things? Like, why am I so comfortable in a situation? Personally, I feel like people just honestly want to rain on my parade and make me feel sad or bad. But I had to change that mindset because it will cause damage to other people and you when it comes to you trying to build your mindset to go out into the real world. And that mentality isn't always the greatest. It could be good enough just to keep a defense mechanism up, but not all the time. In this first clip, I honestly want to show I related very well to this clip because my mother was a single mom and a lot of her choices did do some type of conditioning when it comes to how I look out and look into everybody and situations.
I think there's a topic that's not really spoken about a lot, and that's mental health for single mothers. I think when you become a mother, so much changes. You lose yourself, you lose friends, you lose a lot of your freedom, and with it comes all these responsibilities that all of a sudden come to you. It's not just, oh, such a cute baby. It's not, people post amazing pictures and it's smiley, but behind the scenes it's quite difficult, and you can get to a really dark place if you don't kind of have a really strong support network. Right.
I could relate with that message that she gave because I honestly watched my mother struggle and have these trials and tribulations when it came to being alone and taking care of a child by herself. But I also wanted to show that these struggles also do happen in married and divorced households. So for this example, I would like to show that.
Yeah, no, just like both of you guys, I come from a family where parents are divorced, but I think as you're young, I'm 23, you're dating and you don't want to have these expectations as like, your parents that they had for one another, and because of their insecurities or whatever happened, there was downfall. So, as a young adult, you feel as if like, well, if it happened to my parents, it might potentially happen to me. And then you take on that burden of carrying their insecurities into their relationships. Yeah. So it goes on to think, well, you know what, I don't want to become a pattern. You don't want it to create this cycle for your kids. So I think for me, the best thing that my parents did was expose me to different forms of love. They showed me different friends. Just because we didn't work out doesn't mean that
the cliche is.
I agreed with her when it came to her saying that her parents showed her different forms of love. My mother did the same thing. However, that can help, but it's still, like she said, you still take on those anxieties and those insecurities because you don't want to be hurt like how you sat and watched your mom or your dad struggle and hurt. In this clip, I want to show how men agree when it comes to women looking out in their spouses and men looking in their spouses, more so the daughters. We look for what we're used to seeing and what we've been around all our lives.
Tell me if it's in error that women, when they get of dating age and of marrying age, they tend to look for their dad. Right. I think that's true. I think that whether the father be whether he was a positive father figure or not, right? I think that they just the fact of being born to this man and being impacted in the life of however much time they spent around that person, that they do gravitate towards that. And the unfortunate thing is, if they had a negative experience, if the father was derelict in his duties, or the father was abusive, then they will be conditioned to wanting and to receiving that, right?
Notice how he said that the girl or the daughter of his would be conditioned to look for that in their spouses. I agree per se, because a lot of guidance that my mother gave me was men don't really function how we function, or men don't think emotionally how we think emotionally. So she kind of conditioned me to have lower expectations for men when it comes to their mental capacity or their mental health. And I had to change that because I noticed that if you give that enablement to begin with, then honestly the whole thing can just crash from there. To sum it up, I just want to say that be mindful of who you have around your children, for young parents and young siblings or whatever. Show them that it is okay to love how you want to be loved, and don't make sure that they don't have that type of burden when they come on to one in your family. That way you don't have generational curses that you have to break. To sum it up, I just want to say that everything is love isn't always the answer. I understand love can be good.